Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News. Survivor News.
What's up? It's Brice.
It's your boy Wendell.
And it's Jack, and we're your baby boys.
Get ready for a new episode of
Survivor News. Well, what do you know? The boys are back in town. Welcome to this week's Survivor News, covering Survivor Season 44, Episode 10. The trio is back together. You can tell your children this is Destiny's Child. You can tell your grandchildren it's TLC. You can even tell your grandkids that this is Run DMC. We are excited to be back. The baby boy that has been holding the posse down, covering Survivor News. You may know him as Emily from Netflix Season 2. You might know him as a recent graduate of Chicago, Illinois, or you might know him because the baby boy is an actor. He got some things in the work. Let's welcome back to the podcast, Jack.
What's up? How's everyone doing? Good to have you back, Wendell.
It's good to be back, but can I jump right into correcting Brice? Should we do that, Jack?
Sure.
Chicago University. The University of Chicago.
There you go.
That's what I said.
You said
Okay,
Chicago,
but
that's not what
Illinois,
you
like, city.
A recent graduate of Chicago, Illinois.
I was
Listen.
holding it down for all of Chicago.
Yes, okay. Illinois, stand up. And it has been a very long spring break. Okay. The people wanted to know what was going on when DZ was on spring break. But let's welcome back to the podcast. You may know him from Survivor, Winners at War, First Merge Boot. You might know him as the featured artist on Bryce Isaiah's Tour 44. You might know him if you're from these Ardmore streets. If you were in Boston last week, then you definitely know when DZ was out to play.
Woo.
Welcome back to the podcast. My almost ex-best friend, because we could get into it, but let's welcome back to the podcast. It's Win to the D is with it, to the D is with, to the D is Win DZ.
The GOAT.
Bah. We back, baby. What's up, gentlemen? It's so good to be back with y'all.
Great to be back with you. The posse had been wanting to know, where was Win DZ? What was going on? I was telling them you was on spring break.
Spring break. I'm back from spring break. Can't you see my tan?
I feel like. Can you share where you were? I mean, it's been released. I feel like.
I mean, People Magazine did do an article. I don't know if it was anything to do with who or what Win DZ is, but you know,
All right.
People Magazine did release an article about suspected reality show that will be coming out.
Oh, look at that. Yes, I will be on a show called The GOAT, where they bring 14 reality stars from all across the spectrum to compete to find out who the true GOAT of reality TV is. It's all hosted by the one and only Daniel Tosh. It's going to be a very, very fun show.
You mean Tosh from Tosh 2.0?
Come again?
Isn't it like Tosh 2.0? Don't you got a show called Tosh 2.0?
Tosh 0.0.
Tosh 0.0. Okay. Oh my God.
Yeah, and he's a really fun, hilarious host. It's gonna be a really fun show. That's what it will be. They're leaning into the fun side of things. It's not supposed to be crazy and serious and all that. It's just fun, and it'll be a fun watch. Good cast.
I see my guy Joey Sasso in there. See Devon from Big Brother, Tasha from The Bachelorette.
I saw Jill Zarin from The Real Housewives of New York. I saw Reza from Stars of Sunsets. Sorry, my voice is going, so you're going to have to forgive me.
Who else did you see, Brice?
I saw some amazing RuPaul Drag Race legends.
Alyssa.
The Queen.
There
were first merge boots out there. I mean, child, they just casting anybody.
They must have cast they cast the Survivor GOAT, I guess, right? Am I right?
Tyson's on there?
Yeah, there are a lot of great people from all the shows, like, Housewives, RuPaul's Drag Race, Food Network, Bachelor, Shaws of Sunset, WWE, 90 Day Fiance, what all the shows.
Can you give us any? I don't know what you're allowed to say, what you're not. Can you give us any insight onto like what the show is kind of like? Is it kind of like a Big Brother type of show, or?
Yeah, I really don't know what I can or cannot say, and the only thing I'll say is we live in this mansion, and we compete to see who's the GOAT.
There is a People Magazine article, and if you're watching on YouTube, I will drop that link in the description so that you could check it out. We don't want to get Wendy's in no trouble, but it looked amazing. But yeah, welcome back. Excited to have you back to the podcast. I mean, if we're speaking all things GOATs, right? I mean, we definitely had some GOATs in the building in Boston. Shout out to the legend, the king, Bob Crowley was in Boston with us. Whew, I just love me some Bob and Peggy. Boston was amazing. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I don't have one. Boston, y'all did the thing. I don't even know what to say. I'm literally speechless.
Are we surprised, Brice? Are we surprised about Boston?
I mean, Boston always says they're going to show up, and Boston always delivers. Like, just the atmosphere was truly amazing. At one point in time, I called Jack, but Jack don't answer no more because he think I'm about to spoil him. But like, fans were like, where's Jack? Where? Like, just the fans were truly amazing. Just the love, the support, the people that came. Jeremy Collins was there. Val was there. There was so many. I mean, you see the sea of people.
Energy.
Yeah, Boston looked. I watched all the stories, and it looked like Boston showed out for real. It looked like a lot of fun.
It's crazy. Boston had been asking for a very long time, and we listened to the people. So last season we went to Boston, and they delivered. They came out. So we're like, all right, we'll run it back. We did it again, and it was like that same energy. Those same people. We're seeing them again. And, we have the perfect bar there, the greatest bar, the management, the staff, they're so cool. We brought DJ Caution. We brought Joey Hatch. The tunes were right. It was just the perfect arrangement.
Yeah. I even saw Bryce's story on the way up with Big D, Derek Frazier, complaining about Matt trying to pull him in the car or something. What was the line that he said? Like,
he's driving like Mario Kart. Like, oh my God, Derek Frazier was there. Shout out to Big D. There were certain people. Shout out to Brent Champagne, Trish Haggerty from Cagayan, Swati, Evie, Quarla, Noel,
Jimmy T,
Jamal, Shipman, Denise,
Joe Mena.
Like the real GOAT, Jeremy Collins. Okay, and mind you, listen, this is how you know Jack Wendell is just scarred, right? He said it to the last time he seen Jeremy when he was on Boston. I happened to be walking by, and Wendell was like, why did you put a vote on my name? I'm like, what? Are y'all really having this conversation?
It's a good thing LJ and Jeremiah weren't there.
Oh, child.
Right.
Well, listen.
South Africa friends were there too, Bob and Jimmy T.
Yes, Bob, yes. And mind you,
they were
Peter
plotting.
Wasn't there. We needed Jimmy T's brother, Peter.
The only thing I'll say, Brice, because you wanted to like gloss over this Jeremy Collins thing.
Okay.
He voted for me.
Well, listen,
like,
Jeremy said on that he said on that episode they didn't show the names.
They didn't show the names, but I know who voted with me, and I know who voted for me. And I had about 2 allies on that island, and then there were about 75 people that wrote my name down. And one of them goes by the name of Jeremy Collins, aka Big Bruh. So next time I see him, I might actually put the pause on him.
Oh, not too much. And speaking of the pause.
And I got more to say.
Oh.
Just ask Jeremy about the GOAT.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll have to debrief that and soon. The Brice and Wen Tour, the train is a chugga 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 choo choo. A chugga, 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 choo, choo. It is moving. It has been an amazing. Oh, okay. Ooh, Jack on the choo, 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 choo train. Okay, child. That's what I tell the Ball brothers. But anyway,
Pause. That almost went under the radar.
But we are honored, excited that we have cultivated such a community. I was talking to Wendell earlier and looking at the photo of like Bob Crowley, Joe Mena, Swati, and Evie, just like the smorgasbord of the Survivor community. The people that come out is just such a loving, fun, authentic environment. And so, yeah, we're just can't thank our supporters enough. And with that being said, there are only 2 more stops left. All things are leading to Philadelphia, and Philly is Philly about to be a movement next week.
Philly about to be one of those. Like, I don't know what did it, but our numbers for Philly are better than they've been for Philly in a while. And it's going to be something special.
So we are excited for that. And then all things are leading to Brooklyn, May 23rd, our welcome party, and the 24th, the finale. And listen, if you were in LA, you know the vibes. Brooklyn is setting to be, I don't even know.
It's going to be our biggest finale party ever.
And so we still have a limited amount of tickets left. So if you are thinking about going, don't have no FOMO. Don't be writing me like, baby boy. Like, listen, tickets are available. Click the link in the Brice and Wen Present Instagram bio. And do us a favor. Give us a follow over there on the Brice and Wen Present Instagram. We really appreciate it. Before we get into the logistics of this week's episode, because we're really excited, we got to address the elephant in the room. The Brice and Wen Present Tour we was going smooth.
Oh, you want to do that?
Oh, we could just touch on it a little bit. Jack, we've been going smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Last season and every other season prior to this, when DZ and I always, you've been around us, Jack. We always get in fights. Okay. Well, bang, Boston, when DZ was about to get the pop. But when DZ, I feel like, knows me so well that we went a whole 24 hours being in the same quarter with each other. I have a period for when DZ, and when DZ did not have a breath for me.
You're lucky we weren't really in the same quarters. We were not staying together, very thankfully. But when we had to go to the venue and do setup, I didn't look in his direction. I didn't say a word to him. He didn't say a word to me. Very, very thankfully, we had Joey Hatch with us, who would communicate with the other person.
Yeah. Wendell would communicate to Joey to communicate to me, and I'm standing right there. And then I will communicate to Joey my response, and he would communicate it to Wendell. But,
No, we're not off of this. No. Brice was in the wrong, and it's fine. It's fine. He was in the wrong.
What was the beef about? Not to resume any arguing, but
it wasn't really any beefs or anything. It's just, sometimes I see the world, I might look at the world from a pivot up to the left. When DZ looks at the world to straight to the right, tilted back.
Somebody call Kiki.
On a slanted mirror. And so, all of the tools that Kiki McCrae has taught us, Wendell is not utilizing them. And so when they aren't being utilized, at times I get frustrated and I won't necessarily communicate how I am feeling because I feel like you should know how I'm feeling.
Okay, we're finally not being cryptic anymore. The first thing I'll say is, yes, we're going back to Kiki as soon as this tour is over. The second thing I'll say is, if you get mad at someone for something that they don't know about, then whose job is it to communicate? For example, Jack, if I am pissed at you for something you have no idea about, but I'm just being all moody to you and angry at you, what do you do? Like, do you hang around that presence, or do you do your like? What? How does that become resolved? And to be more specific, Brice was so mad at me, and like, I'm
What
not
did
hanging
you
out with y'all
do?
tonight. I'm not. It was Tuesday night. I'm not going out with y'all tonight. It's 3 p.m. I'm gonna just stay in my room all night. I'm like, Hatch, this man's here. All right, Brice is doing the Brice thing. All right, let's get in these streets with our friends. So we out with 10 of our friends and my great friend from Morehouse College, who had been sending Brice Puma gear for a long time now, including Mellow Ball sneakers, because he's a Puma rep. That hoodie is sent to him by my man Ariel Weeks,
which I am very appreciative of, and we love.
and we're supposed to have a tour of the Puma facility on our Boston trip.
Ooh.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
Ariel is finally out with us. He's never met Brice, but he knows of Brice. Brice comes out, walks up to a few people in the circle, gives them all the love in the world, and leaves.
My Uber was outside. However, that is not the full story. However, I spoke to everyone that was there. I did not, unfortunately, speak to Wendeezy. I didn't see him.
So that's not everyone. Who else didn't you speak to?
I spoke to everybody.
Joey?
So I said hi.
Who else did you speak to? Ariel? You didn't see me? I have a video. I saw you pull up on us. I was like, oh, Brice is here. I'm taking a video waiting for you to say hi to us.
See, what the issue
You
is,
ran around
right?
the corner.
I didn't run.
It's a
You
great
didn't run?
Survivor episode this week.
You ran around the corner. Sorry. I'm sorry. I digress. You were saying,
So,
Brice?
you know, communication styles. And so, yeah, I sometimes, spicy Bricey comes out and I get a little frustrated. However, we're always able to regroup and talk about it. So we were able to what are you doing?
I'm looking at the video of you running around the corner.
Nobody ran around nobody's corner. Me greeting everyone that I see. Hello. This all looks friendly. Oh,
Running. Okay.
No.
You didn't run.
When you
That's all
only
I'm-
see little clips, it can be taken out of context. Regardless of that, I am very grateful for Wendeezy. I'm glad to be able to always hash out our issues. And I'm on a roll for a better Brice. So I vow to always do better. And
So we're on good terms now.
No. Brice, will you try on behalf of our friendship? Because Jack, I looked up flights home.
I ordered an Amtrak train. I had to
Jack, I didn't go to the pregame.
Damn.
So I looked up flights home. Okay, Brice,
trains.
I will try to do better. However you ask. Will you please, if you recognize that you're upset with me, just let me know that you're upset with me and that there's a reason why you're upset with me, so I can know how to be a better friend at that moment.
I can do that.
Thank you. Now how can I be a better person?
You are an amazing person. You can be a better friend by sometimes actually checking in. That's the only thing I ask, to check in. Sometimes you like to, we don't always check in. So I'd appreciate in those moments, instead of assuming a lot of things, just check in with me.
I can do that.
Sweet. I feel like we got to put a note at the start of the episode. Like, if you want to hear about the episode, skip to
Get to the 19-minute mark.
yeah, skip to the 19-minute. I'm kind of kidding, but I'm kind of serious. Because I have seen comments before, like, y'all got to do this at the end of the episode.
Well,
Sorry,
listen.
guys. I hijacked that one.
No, we're good. We gotta do our catching up. It's been a while, but I just know there's gonna be someone out there who's like, this wasn't in the episode.
This was Ponderosa. This was the secret footage.
Yeah. But I'm very excited for the New York finale. I'm gonna be there and looking forward to it. It should be an absolute time. But are we diving in?
We diving in.
We can dive in.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jack.
No, it's all good.
I'm not sorry to you, Brice.
Let's drop it. I think y'all just had separation anxiety while Wendell was gone and filming, and now you guys are regrouping. But this episode, I guess first and foremost, Wendell, you've been gone about, I don't know, a month. What have you thought of the recent episodes?
Let's see. Because I was watching them like the morning after. We were able to have our phones like at night for a small amount of time. So that morning I would watch them. So who'd we have out? It was Kane,
Brandon, Matt, Josh.
Yeah.
Is sort of the post.
Yes, yeah. So up until last night, I guess the guys were getting eliminated, right?
Yeah.
Some of the big guys, like for example, a few weeks ago, didn't we see Danny make this men's alliance, whatever, with Brandon at some point, and then he cut him out of the equation. Then we see what happened with Kane.
Tico was sort of in a swing position between voting out Kane or Danny, and they just decided to go for Kane.
And Tika has been in this swing position, and they can and they could do whatever they want. Yeah. And it's interesting to see that particular alliance has been staying strong. Obviously, they didn't vote together last night, right?
No.
They had been staying strong, and that's been great for them as far as eliminating people. Now, it seems like other alliances don't really care about alliances anymore, and I don't know if that's going to bode very well for this Tika 3. Will that propel them far in the game? Is there going to be a point when, because they obviously didn't vote with each other this last time, left Carolyn out, if I'm not mistaken, is that going to mess them up? I don't know. But I think watching them stay strong can show this kind of new era of backstabbing your alliances, that sometimes it's good to stay with an alliance.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you would say you feel just overall you've enjoyed the recent episodes, or what?
Yeah. I've loved this season, and I've loved it because of the characters. And we had a lot of the stuff pre-merge, like bird cages and this, that, and the third. But now it's like, all right, we made all that happen, and now we're gonna coast and see what happens with what you've earned or what you've been bamboozled thinking you have. Or so I like this season. I like the way it's going. It seems like every episode I have a different winner pick. I'm enjoying it.
That, would you say, wouldn't you rather every episode you have a new winner pick instead of like older seasons where it's that classic winner edit and you're feeling like, oh, this person is going to win, I can just tell?
I love it because, like, especially potting about it. So it's almost like we want to, preserve journalistic integrity and like not get spoiled or not look too far into whatever. And in this case, you're not looking at a winner's edit. You're like, man, this person looks kind of like a sleeper, but maybe that person looks like how Gabler looked. Or, man, this person, they haven't shown anything of this person. Maybe this person is like an Erica. So we don't have a blueprint anymore for this winner. And I kind of like that. So, like, I thought Carolyn was my winner tweet however long ago, just because I love Carolyn. And I still think she might have a path with her idol. But, like, now I'm looking for people that are like true sleepers that are still connected and stuff. Like, I'm like, man, Heidi's looking good. I thought Franny was going to win it up until last night. There are so many people that you could maybe find a route. even in Danny's case, there's been a lot of like almost like villainous type of stuff, but some vibes I get from Danny are like Tony vibes. So, you know, I'm enjoying it. Is Jack frozen?
I think Jack's internet is interneting.
It's outer netting.
It's slower netting.
Dang, Jack. And that's not the most. That's not the most. No, it's this way.
Jack is me speaking to you when I arrive to the thing. So
Dang, Jack.
we'll wait until Jack. I'm sure he'll come back on his phone. Yeah, I think the new era for me. I love the new era. I love the fact that we can't really tell who a winner is, who isn't a winner. However, my thing is for the last 4 episodes, I've been saying the same thing. And I mean, the game Heidi is playing, in my opinion, is I just love how in the know she is. And I love how she doesn't give a lot of
Oh,
information away. I
welcome
just
back.
it's just very, very interesting to me. Heidi and how much people go to her, trust her. She's like a pillar on all sides, but we'll get into it more when we get down the road because I got more things. But I mean, mind you, I'm loving me some Heidi. So we can start right back into the episode.
Yep. Sorry, I got my Wi-Fi fixed, and somehow it's still giving me a hard time. But yeah, it's definitely been. This was like the first episode where I feel like the game really like broke wide open a little bit, where the alliances are starting to turn on each other, and there's really more of like a blend between the original tribes where the game is sort of opened up a little bit. Brice, is my Wi-Fi all right?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so we kick off the episode. We have Carson, obviously, last episode was sort of the catalyst of playing the middle for Tika, and ends up voting out Kane, who we had actually seen him working with a decent amount. But in order to do some damage control, Carson goes to Jamie and makes this really smart play of telling her about how Kane was telling people about her idol, which, and he says it. Kane kind of told him about the idol, but then he was the one who was spreading that information. But as he says in the episode, because Kane's now gone, he's able to make this story that's very logical and like sounds like reasonable. And no one there, the Kane's gone, obviously. There's no one there to tell Jamie what really happened. So what'd you guys think about Carson's damage control post-tribal?
I thought it was great. I thought it was good. It just, y'all know how I feel about Carson. I love Carson. That's my baby boy. I just get Omer vibes a little bit from him, where he is doing such a good job. He is playing, sneaky behind the backs and like very like trustworthy and intimate to people. But as these numbers start to dwindle, my anxiety level for Carson goes up, because it's like there's not going to be too many more of Charlotte's webs you can weave when everyone can look you right in your face. But I think he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I think there's something very like disarming about the person that Carson is. Like he's kind of quirky and nerdy a little bit, but he obviously got super in shape for the show. But I think that aspect about him, how he's so like smart, quirky, nerdy, is disarming, and it almost sometimes allows these people, and so young, and I think it allows these people to just accept some of these non-truths that he shares with them. So I don't know how long it'll have. I don't know how long he'll be able to get away with it, but he has been very good and very successful at lying to people this whole season.
Yeah. He knows how he's perceived as like a younger, innocent player, and he really like embraces that and uses it to his advantage, which I really loved. We'll get more into it as the episode goes on, but I really loved what we saw out of Carson, not only this episode, but just like all of his gameplay really so far. I think he's playing the best game out of anyone. But we could obviously touch on that as we go through his decisions later in the episode. But
Also, what a stark difference between like someone like a Carson who is being the age that he is, and as opposed to Sammy. And again, Sammy played a good game, but I felt like Sammy went out there and wanted to prove because he's younger, that I can make these big moves, I could do this, I could do that, and it kind of like ultimately like didn't work out the best for him. So, and my whole thing was like, why are you saying you 23? If you like, it's not big, it's not a big age difference, Sammy. But I really love Carson kind of like staying in his element. I want to see more of Carson. We love him.
yeah.
And also, what might speak to him being better at it than Sammy is the fact that, like I said, Carson is kind of quirky, nerdy, and Sammy looked like a football player. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So let's continue on.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, next up we just hop into a rare standalone reward challenge, which involves sort of unwinding this. I guess it's like a rope on like a structure. You're spinning to make yourself dizzy. You have to cross a balance beam and collect balls, which you then shoot. You then have to shoot those on like a tall wooden post and land them. And I thought it was a cool challenge, and I think the big takeaway, and the winner got to bring people to the sanctuary, which we'll get more into, but letters from home.
But also important, they didn't know that prior to winning.
True. They didn't know the full extent, but one of the biggest rewards of the season. And I think the big takeaway for me was so Franny wins, and she decides to bring the moms, Heidi, Lauren, and Carolyn. And before we get into the actual trip to the sanctuary, I kind of want to hear your guys' thoughts about the challenge, but also for me, the big takeaway was another Franny win, and that really upped her threat level. And me personally, I mean, it's easy to say in hindsight, but even as the challenge was going on, I was thinking Franny should not win this challenge. Like, and I don't know if you guys would agree with that, but what'd you guys think?
I said it last week when we talked to Alexis when they were battling it out, and I'm like, would it be better if Franny did not win that challenge? And at that point, you both said like kind of yes, but when it's immunity, you got to win it. However, this was a reward challenge. I definitely agree with you. Like, Franny, sis, sit this one out, boo. Give it a good go, but you're on legend status right now, and it's only going to illuminate you. And sometimes, you know how the young kids be saying, the ops. Sometimes I feel like Jeff Probst be the ops though. Like, sometimes I feel like if Franny just would have won it, it would have been fine. Jeff in the middle of the challenge, don't be like, Franny's up. She's the only person that looks like can ever win these challenges. Franny's a beast. I'd be like, Jeff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely, a reward challenge, sit this one out. And when you get to the merge, and this reward challenges, this number, I don't ever want to win a family visit.
Yeah.
I agree. Brice, what was it like at your merge?
Say that again.
What was it like at your merge?
The same as yours on season 44. I mean, season 40.
Interesting. Okay. The one thing I will share, I agree. I think if Franny didn't win this one, she might still be on the island. But I also wanted to make note of Danny after he loses these challenges. Does anyone notice some kind of a trend? Like, I've seen him like shrug people off after losing, and
he gets pissed.
He gets really pissed. I'm like, bro, control your emotions, brother. I think at this one he said something like, "All right, guys, have fun," and kind of like just looked the other way. And I was like, Danny, take it down a little bit, brother.
And he's gone second place to Franny so many times. I almost think that's kind of what catalyzed him wanting to take her out. Like, just 2 episodes ago, he was playing his idol for her. But I really think, like, whether he even realizes it or not, like, the fact that he keeps losing to her, even though he likes her, I think there's sort of this weird jealousy or like competition in him where he doesn't want to lose her anymore, regardless of how much he likes her.
I would say 100%. I've seen this on. I've seen it before. Like, if there's someone that if there's someone that looks at you or someone like, man, this person keeps beating me, they will want that person out, or looks at you as some kind of a threat. Danny, I think, saw Franny as a threat, not only to win these challenges, which clearly she now won 3 out of 5. I think he saw her as like an even bigger threat. Not only is she beating him at challenges, and that's a shot to this man's pride, but she could also beat him at the end of the game, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see him,
Well, I think it's a little short-sighted of Danny to like we said, you turn on your
internet broke up. You said you thought it was a little what of Danny?
Yeah, I was saying, am I good now?
Yeah.
I heard what you said.
I think it's a little short-sighted of Danny, right? To
we love a short we stand the short kings though.
A short-sighted.
Short.
But so
I see what you did there.
Obviously, like 2 episodes ago, we saw him playing his idol for Franny. So it's like, how do you go from that to targeting her because of this is a little bit weird. But at the same time, I am kind of like, now with Franny gone, like, who's really gonna stop Danny? Like, he theoretically could win most, like, pretty much all the remaining challenges, and like with that information,
long as there ain't a puzzle.
Right.
True. Yeah.
That was his Achilles heel today.
Yeah, that was. But I will say, like, I don't know. I'm not saying that necessarily Danny's thought process behind all of this targeting was correct, but we also have talked about where we talked last episode about, with the way the tribal numbers are working, which is a little bit less now, to kind of cannibalize your own group almost is advantageous, because like by taking out one of your own, it's going to lower the threat on Soka as a group. And so by taking out Franny now, maybe Danny's bought himself a few more rounds of safety, and then maybe he goes on an immunity run or something, and then who knows?
I don't know. I think, one, just seeing how Danny has played, Danny likes to lay traps and then, like, come back and hatch them. I really think Danny playing the idol for Franny was, of course, to help her, but also to put a target on her. If you, like, it doesn't matter whose idol it is, but if an idol gets played on you and you survive a vote, that automatically kind of is like ooh. I do fear that, him targeting Franny, y'all have taught me this long time. I think it was whatever season Jonathan Young's season was on, and I was like, they better get Jonathan out. Y'all, like, these physical beasts. I think differently now. And if I were Danny, I wouldn't want Franny to be gone just yet. However, I think the difference between a Franny and a Jonathan Young is that, like, Franny seems like she can check off a lot of different boxes and is really, really good at things. But I just worry with Franny gone now, if Danny doesn't win immunity challenge, I really feel like now he is perceived as the strongest player, and they'll target him. And I don't necessarily foresee him going on a challenge win back to back. So, but I don't know.
It seemed like, yeah, those two were the strong threats to, like, win these challenges, and now with one of them being gone, you're exposed, Danny. You're exposed.
Here's another random thought of mine. And again, it's not the like Gabler Erica edit. However, I was just thinking, like, in these, to win immunity is great. It's like, yes, they're not voting for me. However, Survivor is a social game, and like, I feel like Heidi hasn't won yet, right? And if she want her to win, however, she don't need to win. Like, I feel like it's like the Sari method of the game, and if I were out there, of course I would want to win immunity, but that would be like my plan B. My plan A would be to never really win and continue to work the numbers and being the swing vote of it. And I think that in some part of that, Danny is missing that, like, optics of winning immunity really puts a target on your back. It's just like the target ain't today, it's going to be tomorrow. I'd rather not be the target today or tomorrow. I'd rather be the one shooting at the targets.
Yeah, and it really is in this day and age of Survivor, like it can almost be for that reason, but also just the reason, like you said, of if you're winning a bunch of immunities, you're not really having to navigate as much strategically. And I think a lot of jurors now recognize that, you know, it might not even be a benefit to your resume to win a lot of challenges because you didn't really have to do as much when it comes to the strategizing. So like in the old days, if you won every immunity, like you were gonna win, but now
Right.
it's not such a big. I mean, it kind of like I think like Game Changers, Brad Culpepper, I think won like 5 immunities and he got second place. So it's one of those things that like in the modern era where it's just so unimportant. It's more so about, you know, being able to pull out a clutch win at the right time, and that a lot of times comes in the form of an immunity run in the last few I guess episodes, tribals. But like we've talked about with Franny, winning a bunch of the early ones, it's just kind of a, you know, digging your own grave. Like,
I hate to say this, but when you say stuff like that, Jack, James Jones runs through my head because James Jones always says in this new era of Survivor, he's like, it doesn't matter how you get to the end. He's like, in this new era of Survivor, it's literally getting to the end. But I always be saying, well, that's just a game of Survivor. If you get to the end. However, it's like people want these impressive resumes and being on the right side of the boat. And like, you know, whenever I talk to James, he's always like, you got to get to the end. Get to the end and tell your story right. It's $1 million.
yeah, I got some James Jones shout outs coming up too, because that's something we argued about. I think I'm right. So I'm
You think what?
I said I think I was proven correct.
Oh.
So obviously he's not here to counter back, or else
He's a phone call away.
Yeah, we might have to skip to the 19-hour mark, but yeah, we'll get to that soon. But yeah, I mean, it is yeah. Obviously, it sounds so basic and cliche to be like, you just got to get to the end. Like, of course, but a lot of it really is about like forming your story in a way that people are gonna be excited about, and something. And in the new era, maybe sometimes that's a story that is new and hasn't typically been seen in a winner because it is that new era where people might want something different.
Am I the only one that when they were at this reward and like, you know, they had the alcohol, they were drinking the margaritas, and, you know, Carolyn had her non-alcoholic one, which I love. But I always love when you go on these reward challenges and you can like drink. And I'm sure, am I the only one? Like, Uncle Carl always lives rent free in my head. That season with him and Davey when they got the beer and they was just on the bowl.
Do you remember what Davey did?
What did Davey do? I was out here. That always, those two always pop in my head. Shout out to Uncle Carl. Shout out to the baby boy Davey.
That's like the last season before we started the Survivor News, right? Like that was such a legendary season to watch. That's so many good. And then on the alcohol theme too, I remember that episode where they were looking for like Angelina's idol or something, or Clue, and Mike just had the glass of wine, like, digging in the sand and just like sighing. Like
it was classic.
Yeah, it was hilarious. Say what you will, but I always think getting alcohol in the mix on Survivor can lead to some of the most hilarious moments because it kind of juxtaposes like the seriousness of the game, and then someone's just drunk and like stumbling around.
Yeah, and it also could be your downfall. That episode with Uncle Carl, when he came back and he was a little loose, his tact on the game had changed. Like he didn't necessarily ask people what he came back and was like, "This is what we gonna do," and
He
like
was the
that
Godfather.
ultimately, yeah, that turned people off. But I mean,
yeah. It would be, I mean, that was kind of close, but it would be hilarious to see like full on someone coming back from a board, like just, and someone who's playing a great game and just blowing everything up because they're just
hammered.
I mean, that would, no matter what it was, I think that would make for like a pretty legendary episode or a legendary boot.
More alcohol on Survivor. That's it.
Yeah, but also more virgin alcohol, virgin cocktails too, if they need. But yeah, that sanctuary, that's sort of become a new Survivor staple without like the family visit or the auction or things. Like we get the sanctuary pretty much every season now. They get the letters from home. Franny and Carolyn, we really see their bond growing, and they also broach the topic of potentially voting for Danny. Despite the fact that Franny and Heidi are both there, it's something that seems to have some momentum. And I kind of love the way that Carolyn introduces these things because she almost does it like so casually and like throws it out there that.
Huh?
Can
You said vote Danny?
yeah, and she's so sort of like, would you be down with it? Like it doesn't even seem like so like schemy. It's really just like she's almost like, do you want to order some more cocktails? Like, would you be down? And I was like, yeah, I guess I'd be down. But yeah, what were y'all's takeaways from this reward?
Here's my thing, right? Where sometimes I feel like there's not enough outrage. Where y'all like, oh, less physical. We want better challenges. We want new challenges. We want this. We want that. I want the family visit. Like, I'm sorry. Like, a part of my ritual of Survivor is I love first before the merge. It's my favorite. I love the merge feast, and I love the family visit. I just feel like it just when they grabbed those letters today and Lauren and Carolyn were talking about her son, I'm sitting in my bed crying. Like it's something about those emotions. And I feel like even with 2 seasons ago, there wasn't a family visit, but we got to see videos. They didn't even like do any of that this time. It was just like kind of sort of photos and stuff. For me, bring back the auction and bring back the physical people. I feel like when we actually have physical people, but think about when Senior came. Ooh, first of all, look at Senior. Okay. Okay. And look at that window. Okay. Y'all say window, y'all crush. Look though, okay.
Turn that. Get me out of here.
You need to be looking at his father. Anyway,
where did you get this?
Don't worry about it. Okay. I had to text Anita.
Don't make me go on my files.
What are your thoughts, Wendell? Because like clearly your dad got to come out there twice. Unfortunately, the second time he was a little disappointed in you, but it's all right. You did your best.
Brice, what was it like when Miss Barb came out there?
It was great.
Yeah. What did y'all do? Yeah.
She picked me up from the airport.
Yeah, I think so. I think the family loved visit is a staple, and they've cut a lot of budgets or something post pandemic. I mean, after 40, they've cut a lot of budgets and stuff. So like, we won't have the live reunions. We won't have the longer seasons. We won't have the family visits or any of these things, and it kind of sucks because that's what people are used to 20 years of that. Maybe it's because on Winners at War, some people had big families, and some people required them to fly 5 and 6 and 7 people out. And maybe they blew the whole budget on Winners at War, and now they're recouping for a few seasons. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah.
We could do Skype. They could do FaceTime, something. Like, I just would love the interaction. Another thing that I just want to talk about has nothing to do really anything, but I was feeling my jam this episode when I love the fact that Franny, she picked all the moms, right? And like, there was something special, a bond. Like, I love that. I'm like, oh, we about to get a women's alliance. But here's another thing, like, again, with having such a diverse cast. And I really felt Jam's like pain in the sense of like, I've got a mother, I got a husband too. Like, sometimes I feel like when you don't have kids, when you are a gay man, people think like, they don't think sometimes. And one of my biggest gripes, and this don't really have nothing to do with nothing, but if you invite me to your wedding and I don't get a +1 because give the gays +1s that are single, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. But no, I just felt Jam being like upset about it. And although he's like, no, I sound crazy. Like, no, I felt his pain. Like, we all wanted to see things. However, I loved the mom aspect of it. Another thing I really loved was hearing Lauren's story. Just reading hearing her dad say that he's proud of her, like little stuff like that just like makes me tear up. Carolyn, a million reason one why I love her. Like she's just so real, open, and like she loves her son. We know she would dig and doo-doo for her son. And I love the fact that like she's like, my son, he don't even like to write. So like this is probably the longest he ever wrote. And then she's like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
but I love it. Like
Wall or unicorn. Yeah.
I love those little scenes, little aspects of this.
Yeah. It was fun.
Now I have a question for you too. Do you feel as though this order of which Franny picked helped the demise? Do you feel like she could have been a little more political with who she picked?
I think that. So I don't know. I think her logic for the people she picked was like pretty fine, and obviously this wasn't the family visit per se, but it was a family related reward. And if I'm not mistaken, there's sort of like a little known like a curse where if you're the winner of the family reward and you're the one picking people, a lot of times that winner will get voted out like that episode or like the next episode. And I think. And I think that's for that reason, not only to mitigate her threat level in general, but because of this like curse, that's another reason that Franny shouldn't have won it. Where it's like, obviously, if you're picking people for this, they're gonna be very appreciative, but the people that get left out, I feel like, are gonna have, whether they like it or not, are gonna have some negative feelings towards you, because not only are you sort of showing that you're not actually their priority, but also you're missing out on your family. And so that's gonna, whatever you feel about Franny, you're still gonna be like, damn, she didn't pick me. Like, we can't be that close. Like, that's someone that pops up as a target. So
I guess in Danny's case, he just saved her a matter of however many episodes ago. Like, he's the reason why she's in the game, I guess, right?
Yeah, 2 episodes ago.
So there's that. And then there's also, if you're picking all women, just the optics of that. Like,
yeah. And I think Carson was probably pretty aware of that too when it comes down to his decision making later on, where
if you're the strongest, if you're what has been proven to be the strongest player remaining in the game, at least competition wise, we know she's super smart and everything also. So like, if you're proven to be that strong, then it might, I mean, if you don't want to sandbag the challenge or lose the challenge, it might just behoove you to, at the very least, not picking all women's or something, or all mothers contingent to go on this reward. No?
I agree. I don't agree. I think the fact that her picking all mothers plays it safe, right? I think, in my opinion, the best thing for her to do would have been give up her spot and maybe put Danny there, right? Just to say, like, to show, like, listen here. But also in that same breath, then people would have been like, oh, you only doing that to like, so I mean, even me saying that doesn't really change the fact. But I mean, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But
I also think in a spot like this, like, I don't think giving up your spot is a bad idea, but it's such a big reward that bonds are going to be made between the people that go, but they're also going to be made
with the people that.
So if you are the winner, I think the biggest thing you have to make sure of is that whether you go or you don't go, you have to be with a group that you want to be with.
Or it's still a numbers game. Make sure that whoever stays is with good enough people with you, and that you, like, so
I don't get a bad job of that, in the sense that, like, she's been target number 1 for a little bit, and she actually seems to have some new life and some new allies from this reward, but it's just not quite enough.
Also, during this reward, reason number 7,000,002 why Heidi should have been on that show and not Wendell. Heidi low-key is a GOAT, right? She's there with the women. She's galvanizing we gonna do an all-girls challenge. Let's speak it into existence, girl. Let's go, girl. We are women. We are here. Let's go. Go. We are women. We are here. Let's go. Go. Then the second the Women Alliance comes up with a plan, and they like, okay, Carolyn like, I'm down. Franny like, well, I'm down. Laura like, well, you know me. Heidi said, well, yeah, let's think about it, girl. And again, this has been Heidi the whole season, and I love it. Like, if you go back and watch, because you know me, I like whenever she is talking with somebody, she never say a name. Whenever somebody says a name to her, she like is like, oh, like, okay, let me think that over. Like, she never gives you like she always leaves it very optimistic. And me as a viewer, I'm like, first of all, if I heard that, I'd be like, girl, I would be like, that's funny money. But the fact that like it has not come up, the fact that I just don't think people is giving my girl Heidi enough credit out here. She just galvanized the whole Girl Alliance and said, girl, let's go. Then they came up with a name, and she was like, oh, well, I mean, yeah, like, okay.
Well,
I'll let you know.
I like what we've seen from Heidi, but in that same breath, there was almost a plan hatched against her by the women at the end of the episode where it's like, if you're doing a job, that's not going to happen.
But that was because of Danny. That was like, that was a backlash to Danny. That wasn't necessarily because of her, because there's like, they're like saying that she's the cleanup person. They're like, no, I think that was.
I think she's playing a pretty smooth game, but I do think she has some leaks in it where she.
I mean, everybody got a little leak.
True. Like, I've liked her game a lot in the recent weeks, but we do see like most episodes now, the plan comes together and she lets something out that like, if she just didn't say that, she'd be in a great spot. And like now, I think people are on to her where, she's like playing a really solid game, like nothing fancy, but it's solid. But I think that because that also like in a weird way, that also matches like her personality. And so I think people are very quick to catch on where they're like, oh, Heidi's very low key, but she's smart. Like she's now a threat. She's not really disguising it at all. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I agree, but I also feel like Heidi is a mother. I feel like Heidi is warm. I feel like we might not be getting it, but just in the relationships in which that she has, the fact that I know we're kind of sort of jumping around, but like the fact that she came to them and told them what Danny said, for me, lets me know that like, I don't know, but I see a lot of things that I like in Heidi. She said, okay, girl, I'll call you tomorrow. Let you know if I'm going to come. They were literally like, we going to Miami. Let's. I'll call you tomorrow. Let you know.
That's a Brice answer.
Don't do that.
And ironically, like Heidi's the only person that ends up voting for Danny. And she was the one she showed up to Miami alone.
she said, where y'all at?
Yeah. It is interesting because like the way that I guess we'll circle back to it after we go through the immunity challenge. But before we get to the immunity challenge, one little segment we had in the middle that I thought was hilarious was while the two groups were split up, back at camp, Jamie decides to do the right thing and come clean about how her idol went home in Kane's pocket. And both during the reward and then once everyone gets all back together, we just see her telling people, we see her a confessional about like, I don't like to lie. It feels really good to get this off my chest. And then it just, Annie, Franny, Carson, everyone just being like, so this is obviously BS, right? And poor Jamie. And I mean, the editors are just having so much fun with it where Jamie's sort of story, and this is where I sort of wanted to say to James Jones that like when we had this conversation a few weeks ago, this was the way I thought it was going to be trending, where she's just sort of has this blind confidence that is in a way is sort of working for her because she doesn't know about all of the blunders that she's sort of making or how people think she's lying about this or that, or the fact that her idol was fake. And I think at this point in the game in her book, she thinks she's doing everything right and she has nothing to prove, nothing to her has happened to say that she's doing anything wrong. But then we see behind the scenes, like everything that she thinks she's doing is right is just actually wrong and no one's believing it. And it's just kind of a hilarious dynamic. I mean, I don't know if we've seen like anything like this where she really just tells the full truth about this complex truth and then everyone just immediately just like
It's like it's a bunch of crap.
yeah. So what from a viewing perspective, but also from like a game player perspective, both as like Jamie and then also someone else in the game, like what did you guys make of this whole ordeal? Like this was like one of the standout moments of the episode, in my opinion.
Also, another way in which Carson, think about Carson in these moments, because he actually knows that she's telling the truth, and it serves Carson more service to whip the votes that it's like, yeah, oh my God, that's unbelievable. But yeah, Jamie, here she is like, y'all have been holding this in for a long time. I know, y'all. Listen, I ate the cookie. All right, I took the cookie. I ate. They're like, oh, thank you for sharing. Danny was like, that's a bunch of crap, right? Have you ever heard that before?
It was actually a bad lie.
It was a bad lie.
Oh man, poor woman.
And I can relate to Jamie so much in this situation, because it's like I feel like I'm on my own like path and struggle. I'm single and I'm dating, and it's like when I go on these dates and I explain to these men I'm a virgin, I'm like waiting until I am married, and I feel like because I am so attractive, because I am so young, they like instantly turn into like the Dannys and the Carson and be like, unbelievable, you is too, like, I don't. So it's like I understand Jamie. It's like I tell these men I'm saving myself.
Interesting.
I'm glad you got that off, Brice.
Wendell, what do you think?
Well, I think it's very fun to watch. And I think Jamie, it's like she's just giving them so much. Like, Jamie, is there ever a point when you're saying, like, in the confessional, I don't know if they believe me or not? It's like you just have so much confidence. I don't know if you're just trying to convince yourself of something, but man, like, and then earlier in the game, at some point a few weeks ago, she was like, I'm in the best position in the game, or
the MVP.
Yeah, or like, don't they know that I am the best, or something like that? It's like, girl, come on.
And also, this speaks to that damn Matthew. Like, you might have been taken out of the game, Matthew, because of your shoulder, but your weaves and ties are like, and the sad part about this is all of this is happening because of Matthew, and it wasn't even a real idol.
And didn't he plant it and lead her to it?
Yeah, and he's not even in the jury to like tell anyone differently. So I think until they get like back home and talk to Matthew, I think everyone's gonna think that this was a real idol.
And she's gonna go home within the next 2-3 votes because of this stupid idol that is fake and actually left, and the truth she told.
It's just such a weird, like, we really haven't seen anything like it, where like you said, she has such a blind confidence, but like nothing has happened in the game to actually make her think she's doing anything wrong, really. Like, she's just not. I think because she's so like silly.
Hey, Jack, what was you saying? I heard my name. What happened?
Get him. Get him.
James Jones has been summoned. He can't hear you though, Jack. All right. We'll finish this later.
1 second. What's up?
Wait, can you hear him?
I thought I did.
Can you hear?
You can do a 3-way call on a fucking iPhone, my guy.
Oh, hold on. All right. Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, like, it's just weird. Like, nothing. Like I was saying, like, I think because the perception of her, she's kind of like silly and goofy. Like, no one's really got a target on her, and so. But I think she correlates to that being her great gameplay, and nothing has happened to like show her that she's not actually making good moves. And it really all started almost when she played the shot in the dark successfully. I feel like that almost might have been the spark and the first vote for her being like, oh, I played the shot in the dark, right? Like, I'm the GOAT. Like,
it's her magic wand. It's that bippity poppity boop. She got a fairy godmother that's out there like,
yeah.
What about, but but they're starting to say like they're starting to think about voting for her.
Yeah,
So
they've
is
talked about it
this
like
is this goof the biggest threat, or
Not a goof.
not goof, but like the edit has been goofy. She's not a goof. She's awesome. We love Jamie, but they're starting to say her name because she has this idol that she's lying about.
But again, what is so crazy? Sorry, Jack, to cut you off. What's so crazy is that, like, us as viewers, it's like these names that are coming up: Kane, Franny. I mean, not Franny. Jamie, Heidi. Where the hell is Danny at? And it's again. I feel like if Carson and Danny are really kind of like, are they back masterminding this, and we are just not really seeing their effect? Because it's, for me, it is crazy to think that, like, why is Carolyn been right this whole time and ain't nobody been listening to her the whole season, and she been saying Danny, 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 Danny.
Her big move, mark my words, with her idol, she's gonna make that happen.
Yeah.
She's gonna make it happen. Now that you're saying that she's been saying this, yeah. She's gonna do that. She's gonna put the kill shot on the last remaining huge player, because it was Franny and Danny, right?
Yeah.
She's gonna do something to put the kill shot on him, and she's gonna win the game because of it.
Yeah, I think she's about to have like a Natalie Anderson revenge tour type of. But yeah, just like the last thing with that too with Jamie, it's just like it almost works better for her that no one believes her, because that looming threat of a potential idol that was never even real to begin with might be the thing that's kept her name off. Like, people have brought her up, but it's never actually come to fruition because the numbers have just never been there to split, because they're worried she has the idol. So it's like the fact, like, she could have been gone home a long time ago if she never found that fake idol. And it's like, you know what I mean?
Another thing that I do wonder, right? I wonder if Carson and Jam Jam know that that Carolyn has an idol, right? And I know we're all over the place, right? But I'm just, because now y'all have me thinking, right? Jam Jam and Carson were like, we don't want to go against Carolyn, right? Because, like, we don't want to make her mad, you know? But I mean, at the end of the day, if it's a game, like, and I know she's your closest ally, but, like, you know, but I'm just thinking, like, did they really try to keep her out of the Franny vote? Because if she got wind that it could Franny, that she might have potentially could have played that idol for Franny, and that, like, that would have changed a lot of different things.
Or they kept it from her because that's her girl, and she would just told her regardless.
But she found out and told her.
True.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just wondering, like, if maybe they do know that she has an idol, because, like, just for her not getting, I don't know, because it wouldn't really matter at this point, because where do the idols reside? It's the numbers, but.
So with Heidi and with Carolyn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those are the idols. And does anyone know about Heidi's?
I don't think so.
Something big is bound to happen with these women and these two idols. Something's gonna happen. One of them is gonna use an idol to put a kill shot on Danny.
Child, the way it's going, it might be Jamie. You never know.
Yeah.
So we get to the immunity challenge. And this was a fun switch up, because we've seen a lot of those, like, we were complaining last episode about, like, the standstill and balance challenges.
You were.
Me and Alexis.
Speak for yourself. I enjoy them.
Okay. This one we got, you got to slither through the sand obstacle course with a buoy in your mouth.
Oh.
And unlock. I think you had to unlock the pieces to a star puzzle. Danny blows everyone else out of the water with the slithering part. But Carson eventually.
Stop laughing, Brice.
Carson gets to the puzzle. I don't know if he 3D printed this one, but he really crushes the puzzle. And then, so Carson ends up winning. Weirdly, though, I got to mention, his last piece just, like, didn't fit, which I thought was kind of weird, to have a puzzle where, like, everything else is right, and then you have a piece that doesn't fit. Like it's a little weird, but he was able to move things around and make it work. But
They were saying on Reddit that he listens to the Purple Pants podcast and knew how you felt about the 3D printing, so he didn't want to make it seem as effortless.
gotcha.
Interesting.
But no, well, and I know you're joking, but like I love the fact that he prepared that much.
Yes, it paid off to an immunity. He now has a necklace because of his 3D printer. If you are going on Survivor, invest in a 3D printer.
So I got a question for y'all. Y'all love the fact that he prepared so much and did all these challenges that we've seen before, or
I do. Jack hates.
Do you
it.
also hate on Survivor for renewing these challenges all crazy?
Well, we've had this debate. I don't know.
And and
no.
Sorry.
I think we've debated this. I think you were here too, Wendell. It's like I don't like that they're
I don't know what you're gonna say.
Right?
You don't like that they're redoing them, but for potential people coming out there, if you know that they have a trend of redoing them, you better do your homework. And one aspect of the homework is, hey, if you have the wherewithal to get a 3D printer, but we're obviously seeing. Go ahead.
And I think Brice thinks I'm trying to like knock Carson, which is the opposite of it. I respect that he prepared so much. I just think it's boring when like you've prepped the challenge.
So let me ask you this. No, I don't think you're
bad TV.
I don't think you're bad in Carson. I'm just saying it's just the point, and I love when we don't match because I love to just get you fired up. But here's my thing then. So I guess people shouldn't swim. Because that'd be boring because, you're going to swim out there, Jack. Don't swim. They got to get rid of the ocean.
But
we seen it.
We debated this with Desi. We debated this.
Yeah, we seen the ocean, Jack. Are you tired of the ocean?
He described it very well, though. Like things like the ocean, that's like an open loop sort of activity. Like you could prep at swimming, but it's like
don't dig in the sand. Don't. They need to get rid of the sand.
Don't practice making fire with Flint.
No, that's obviously not what I'm saying. Like when it's a set closed task like a puzzle, it's not exciting if you just know how to do it. Whereas if you have to run a lot and you're a good runner and you practice a lot, it's more impressive to see you go fast. But like when you're doing the puzzle and you're not really actually solving it, you just remember what it looks like. It's not exciting because you're not putting those skills to use. It's just something you've remembered. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes and no.
It's like if you know the challenge, if you know the puzzle so well that it becomes like, you're counting to 10. I don't want to watch someone just count to 10. I want to watch them like do some math or like something more exciting. That takes skill, not
right. But I also feel like with a puzzle, it's not like you can't remember a puzzle, but there are it's like riding a bike. You do it enough, you get practice, that like there are pieces that you need to, I don't know. I hear what you're saying.
But same challenge is riding a bike and one person knows how to ride a bike and everyone else is just seeing a bike for the first time. It's not really fun if the one person knows how. Obviously everyone could have, that's also a barrier to entry. Not everyone has a 3D printer. Of course, if you take the effort and time, you could probably get that's why I'm giving Carson so much credit. But just from a TV standpoint, and this is on Survivor production, and I think that they've probably, I remember earlier in the season, it wasn't just me. A lot of people were giving feedback that we don't want these same puzzles. I was joking about the star shape one. We've only seen probably once or twice. I don't know if you would have had that one, but like it's just. It's something it's obviously it's a matter of opinion, but for me, and I think I speak for most Survivor fans, from what I've seen, you don't want a puzzle that people just already know, where it's just a matter of remembering the puzzle rather than actually solving it.
And to add to that, because if you get to a puzzle at the end where it's just a matter of like muscle memory because you've done it 1,000 times, then that doesn't neutralize the challenge like puzzles are supposed to. Like puzzles at the end of whatever this physical thing is, a puzzle could very feasibly take a long time because people are trying to figure it out. Whereas if you just know it, then you could do it blindfolded in 2 minutes and you'll be out of there.
Yeah. And okay. I respect, like I said, I really do. If I was going out there, I wish I would prepare to the level that Carson prepared. I absolutely would want to. But we could say, hey, anyone can do that. But Brice, imagine a game where every single person has memorized every single puzzle, then what's even the point of the puzzle, you know?
Because one, it's also the challenge to get to the puzzle.
But then what's the
So
point?
I'm just saying, and also I think, believe it or not, Jack, I was on Survivor before, right? The adrenaline that runs through your body, like I know when people watching at home, it's like, it ain't just you sitting there doing a puzzle. It's something else to it as well. But I do agree with you. I don't want to see the same puzzles. I also just want you to know I don't want to see the same puzzles either.
Yeah.
My point was just that, like, it would behoove you that if you are a longtime fan of the show and you've seen, like,
oh, absolutely, and I'm not, but yeah, I just want to make it very abundantly clear that obviously when the adrenaline's pumping, you've just done the challenge, like it's still difficult to do the puzzle, and I also want to make clear that I respect the hell out of Carson for this level of preparation, and that's why he's one of my favorite players this season. But just my point is that I want to see some fresh new puzzles. Like
I don't agree, and just so I can make it clear,
he agrees.
I agree. Oh no, I said, I agree. I want to see new puzzle, but so I just make it clear. I like to just start the petition now to get rid of the ocean, though, like because we've been there, done it, seen it. Okay.
Yeah, I hate the ocean too, so I agree.
So it makes me wonder how much prep did Carson really do?
Oh, I feel like he stayed up I feel like
how many puzzles does he have at home, and like what else did
too?
Have you not been following Carson, like, on his journey with his slides with his dog and him losing weight and the preparation, and like, first of all,
gained weight.
He had like a spreadsheet. I love it.
What kind of can you explain this spreadsheet, my man? He had a spreadsheet. I thought he put a chip in his arm. Like he had a chip in his arm.
He had QuickBooks. He had like a spreadsheet of different things. Like he just was organized. That's what I'll say. Like which is why. And I just love Carson. And then when Carson won, I just felt like when Jeff asked him, like, I don't know what, and Carson was just like, it's truly an honor to be, like, I just was like, oh, Carson.
Yeah. Straight out of Hogwarts.
Okay, look, my little Harry Potter. Listen, Carson studied so much. He studied this to look. Okay. He tried not to have his thumbs out.
Yeah. And it is crazy impressive too. Yeah, the fact that I think he gained it was like 40 pounds, right?
I got 40 pounds, and he
was probably doing sit-ups and solving the puzzles at the same time.
At night, upside down.
Yeah, every time
with his thumbs tucked in.
Yeah. Sit up, put it in.
Whoa.
Whoa. I could play.
Whoa. That's Brice's.
I like to play that game. What do you do, Jack?
You gotta grab a piece.
No.
And it's like, listen, Carson had his shorts above his knee. Like, I mean, Carson is well prepared. I love the new school era of, yeah. I mean, we stand a Carson.
And it's also like, even when he has like the speeches, like he did when he went over to get the necklace and stuff. Maybe this is me overthinking things, but it's like, I can't fully tell whether he's being fully authentic or playing it up. So it's like, I think he's constantly aware, even in moments like this, of like how he wants to come across. And so he's able to just consistently, obviously it's pretty true to who he is, but I think he knows that aspect of his personality that's a little bit more like young and innocent and like lovable is the one that he's projecting outwardly.
I think that's authentically him. If I hypothetically have ever met him, that is hypothetically the Carson that I got. Also, another thing with these edits that I love, Jam this episode, though, struggled a little bit in the challenge after he got the net and got to the puzzle piece, and he did a little shimmy, and they added the little sound. I love when they do stuff.
I don't remember that. That's hilarious.
I love when they do stuff like that.
So we get back to camp after Carson wins immunity. Franny actually talks about how she's kind of got like the adrenaline. She's kind of likes the fact that she's not safe because she's had some form of protection like pretty much every vote, which kind of speaks to what we were talking about earlier. But immediately there's targets on Franny, Danny, Jamie. Things get pretty chaotic, so it's a little all over the place. Carson and Jam Jam seem to be in sort of the driver's seat and leaning towards Franny because they see how close Carolyn's getting to Franny and they want to break that up.
Interesting you say that though, because I really felt like the conversation that Danny and Carson had, to me, I was like, where I am thinking like, is it Carson and Jam Jam or is it Carson and Danny? They seem to kind of have like, I'm like, is this the new Cody and Jesse?
I don't know if they're at that level, but there's definitely some connection going on there that I think we're starting to see more. But for sure, like I said early in the episode, this is sort of the first episode where things really seem to be like intermixing between the groups, which I like a lot because it makes things a lot less predictable. But we see Danny rally the numbers to get Franny, and he goes to Heidi and says like, I don't even need to tell. We don't even need you, which was weird. But then Heidi takes that and then goes to, I forget who it was, like
Carolyn and
and then Franny, Carolyn, Jamie, and Lauren hatch a plan to blindside Heidi, and they try to get Carson on board. And then he goes to Jam Jam, and that's sort of like the cliffhanger that we're left on before Tribal Council. But so much is happening. What stood out to you guys? Like, who do you think played it smooth? Who do you think was kind of messing up? Like, a lot going on. I want to hear your thoughts.
Danny Messam, come here. Listen. What are you doing? Okay, why would you tell Heidi that? I gagged. And it's crazy because it's like, he didn't mean it in a mean way. Like, I felt like he was saying, like, I felt like it could be as in, like, listen, if you don't want to put a vote on someone, like, you don't have to. But, like, I'm letting you know this is happening. But the way that it came off was like,
we don't need you.
I don't need you. But I'm going to let you know. I don't need you, but I'm going to just tell you because you my number one. But I'm not your number one if you telling me. And
Or
clearly, I feel like that has fractured them because all season, Heidi has been a rock. Okay? Call her Dwayne Wade Johnson because she has been a rock with information, you know.
Dwayne Wade Johnson.
Hold on a second, Brice. Who are we calling her?
Dwayne Wade Johnson.
That's two different people.
I mean,
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Oh, Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
And then there's Dwayne Wade.
Oh, Dwayne Wade. Okay, shout out to my girl Zaya. Okay. Oh, I just made him two. I made him one person. Dwayne Johnson. But no, Dwayne has a middle name that's not The Rock though.
Not one that people use, I don't think.
Anyway, you can call her Dwayne Wade Johnson because she's been a rock.
And she's balling.
So Heidi don't spill information like that. She galvanized a girl alliance. She doesn't spill information pertaining to her. She will spill information that, like, you know, that she'll filter information, but pertaining to her, I feel like she don't. So for her to go and say what Danny said, for me, is letting me know that, like, Heidi getting ready to do some things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it kind of ties back into sort of like what we talked about with Jamie, where Jamie was telling the truth and Heidi was also telling the truth about this. But it's almost like you have to be strategic in the way that you even tell the truth, because sometimes your story seems so off that people don't buy it, and that could almost be worse than lying. Like,
I believe they bought what Heidi was saying.
Because they wanted to put the votes on her. When she went to them and said like, so Danny came to me this and that and that, they were like, Danny's like her number one. Why would he say that he doesn't need suspect? So let's just put our votes on Heidi.
No, but I took that as something different. What I got from that, what they were saying is that like Danny is calling the shots and she's always doing the cleanup. So they were like trying to get rid of her as collateral damage to Danny.
But I think it's both. I mean, I think it's both in the fact that she told them the truth about Danny being weird, but they thought that her story was weird. So they were like, okay, we can't trust Heidi.
I thought that they thought the story was weird. No, Wendell, we're going to need you to chime in. I thought that they thought
on board with Heidi because they wanted to put votes on her, though. So it's like, you can't tell me that Heidi went to them and made good things happen when as soon as she leaves the conversation, they said, new plan, Heidi's the vote.
No, they thought it was weird that he wouldn't tell her that. And again,
they still wanted to put the vote on Heidi, right?
But they didn't have the numbers, and they knew that Jam and Carson wouldn't.
I think the Carson Jam part of this is a different story, and I think they made a great move in what they did, but they so easily could have just succumbed to what the group of girls wanted to do. Heidi would have been gone. So I don't think there's an argument to be like, yeah, Heidi like really made great inroads. She had a conversation with them and then they wanted to vote her. Like,
so no, you are right about the information, right? Who to disseminate the information to, right? So she probably was pissed at Danny and she shouldn't have like given that information. However, that in my opinion still has nothing to do really with where and how she is playing. Like that was a little mistake of hers, but I like as far as her resume, I still stand.
Well, that's a different question, but I'm still like,
no, because I just feel like when I'm bringing up Heidi, I feel like you keep being like she not look. This is prime example. I could say the same thing regarding like Danny and saying what he said, how he said it to Heidi, because ultimately Heidi could have then. Will she try? But I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel like she went to them, she told them that information she shouldn't have, but they did not believe what she was telling was the truth. They were like, it's fishy that he wouldn't tell her that. What else is going on? So maybe you might be right.
Yeah,
but I felt like it was like they were like that she's the middleman trying to. So maybe.
There's a variety of reasons that I think they might have voted for Heidi, but what I was debating, and correct me if I'm wrong, I thought you were saying like that Heidi's conversation here benefited her, when I think obviously it didn't, because immediately after her name got brought up for the first time, really.
What I was saying was
damn near.
What I was trying to draw attention to is that I feel like how Danny was talking, how he disseminated the information to Heidi.
Agreed.
Right? They've been number ones. I feel like that was the straw that broke her back, because normally she would never disseminate information that close to her game to people that has to do with Danny.
But, well, okay, so I definitely agree with you about the Danny thing, and I think that whole instance had her very frazzled. But to that point also, when Danny idled out Brandon, she was the one who told everyone about Danny's idol, and that almost messed up that plan. So that's another exact example of her disseminating information about Danny that was important, that almost messed things up.
That also was Danny didn't tell her not to tell them.
I mean, it's kind of implied. Like, all I'm saying is you just said she would never disseminate information about Danny that's close to her game, when that literally happened 2 episodes ago.
But that was also because she was trying to galvanize the troops.
Well, they weren't galvanizing.
But it's about the intent. It's the intent. Like, her intent wasn't to like hurt Danny.
I like Heidi's game. Don't get me wrong, but this is what I'm saying when I'm talking about. Like,
I'm throwing you in the ocean. Go ahead, okay?
No, I'm on the same page about like I think Heidi's a really solid player. But I do think now we've seen a couple instances, this instance, the instance with the idol, where she doesn't properly like, she has an idea that I think is in the right place, and she goes to people with that idea.
She doesn't execute.
Doesn't like flush it out in a way that's gonna like best for her game, and it just comes across as like suspect, and it just like doesn't. the intent is correct, but it doesn't execute entirely properly.
Okay. I received that.
I don't know.
No, I hear you.
No, because it is weird where, like, especially up until this episode, Heidi, in my opinion, is one of the strongest players, but now and she might be able to recover, but I do think she was damn close to going home if it wasn't for Carson and Jam Jam making like a really solid decision, in my opinion, and keeping her safe.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think that I was watching this rewatch a little faster than you guys, so you guys did a much better job than I'd ever be able to do at explaining it. So,
yeah,
it
was a bit of a confusing moment, and yeah, I don't want it to seem like I'm knocking Heidi because she is one of the strongest players in of the season, but this was definitely, in a weird way, it wasn't even a huge slip up. It was just more so the fact that I think Franny and Carolyn were looking for any reason to switch the vote, and just it was like an inconvenient timing. But she definitely, and like I said, this applies to like what we were talking about with Jamie too. It's like I think people sometimes think, oh, if I'm telling the truth, no one's going to be suspicious of what I'm saying because it's the truth. But in reality, it's about the way that people are perceiving the information. So even if it's the truth, you still have to like frame it in a way that people are ready to accept and believe.
Yep.
That's it. Because I agree with that statement. Because you coming in hot, and then your perception of like how and what and how they might receive it and what they might do with it is now altered because you're like
yeah. And that ties back to, I think, what the last thing I wanted to mention about Jamie was like, and I hate to knock her at all because she's great TV, but it's just such a funny idea that like I think someone in the episode mentioned or whoever is like, you know your game is rough when you look like you're lying even when you're telling the truth. Like if your truth telling looks like you're shady, it's just you're gonna have a really tough road of Survivor ahead of you, you know.
True.
But it's just weird because now it's like, say Jamie went back on another season, I think everyone would be like, okay, she's a pretty honest person. But right now everyone's like, yo, she's the shady person in the game. And it's like, oh, and she doesn't even realize that's how people think of her. And I almost want to see that emerge because I feel like at some point she might like get a big blindside or whatever. But I almost hope there's like a moment before that where she realizes everyone thinks she's full of it, but she's still in the game and she like scrambles to like fix everything. I think it would be so funny. But this really boils down to, so we get to tribal, and I'd say, so there's a group of 4 that want to get Heidi, and they try to rope in Carson, who then says, you know, I got to do my due diligence, talk to Jam Jam, which is very smart because at this point he and Jam Jam are super close, and you can't really make this move without Jam Jam.
Right.
So the ball is now in Jam Jam and Carson's court, whether they want to blindside Heidi or if they want to just stick with, you know, I guess we'll call it Danny's plan and take out Franny. To jump into it, they obviously side with Danny, and I believe they pulled in Lauren and Jamie as well, given that it was a 5-2-1 vote with Franny going home. But I just want to open up the discussion to like, did anything at Tribal stand out to you guys? And also from the perspective of, I guess, the swing votes, Carson and Jam Jam, what do you think of their decision to go with the Franny vote as opposed to the Heidi vote?
I think 3 things. One, after having this discussion and then pulling this image of Tribal Council up, I just changed my this week's winner pick. I mean, it's still Heidi, but I'm going with Lauren or Jam Jam because we just talked 30 minutes straight, right? And we didn't really mention Jam Jam or Lauren's name. And I feel like this week I'm going with hiding in plain sight.
Interesting. I am going to go with it could be Jam. I don't know if it could be Lauren, but one thing that I noticed from this tribal was they really gave Franny like the hero's exit, music wise and everything like that. It seemed like everyone seemed visibly kind of like not so happy or sad about her going, and you kind of see in this photo too, like I feel like I saw some smirks or some smiles from Danny as she was going, and I love Danny, but I don't know. Like I feel like they're gonna get him out of there soon, and I feel like this was a move that is getting rid of like it would have been like me getting rid of Dom soup at this stage.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna make his trip a little harder, and I think maybe the move might have been better to get a Heidi out at this point.
Yeah, I think for Danny, it's like he's in such constant overdrive, and we've seen him obviously able to execute some moves like his idol play on Brandon. Obviously now the flip side of that, actually taking out Franny, and they're moves that are working in the moment, and I think he's very stoked about that. But I think from an outside perspective, these moves might not actually be the best thing for him. So they're working out accordingly on the day of tribal. But I think, my guess, and I've been saying it for a couple of weeks, so he's been impressive in the fact he's still around. I think he probably goes in the next couple of votes. And I think if we were to ask him once he goes out, he'd probably say, yeah, I went a little too hard and these moves weren't actually necessary and I should have played it a little bit more low key.
I doubt that he would say that just from the Danny that I have seen.
Well,
I think that
yeah.
and I was talking to somebody, probably James Jones, but there is something like I don't like the term villain, right? I like it's a protagonist.
Agonist.
Like I just like the characters across the board. Like there's something about a Danny, and it's like you can tell that Danny has watched Survivor, and you can tell the people that he has looked up to. I think even in this episode, he said he named the goats of Survivor, and I think it was like Tyson, Parv, and Jeremy.
Rob,
Tyson, Parv, and Jeremy. Did your internet cut out, Jack? Did you hear that?
I did.
Okay, yeah, just make sure.
I think I heard him say Brice Isaiah.
I heard that too.
I know a name I didn't hear.
Dot.
But I definitely feel like Danny got his car inspected. They told him you only got about a week with them brakes, so I wouldn't do a lot of highway driving where you gotta emergency stop. And Danny said, "Okay, I can make it a year with this car." And Danny is just on the highway right now, and his foot is to the pedal is to the metal, and he is just driving this car. Yeah. Eventually, it's gonna need to stop. And that mechanic told him, them brakes ain't gonna work. But his attitude is like, I'm gonna try to get there. And it's an enjoyable watch. That's my thought on Danny.
No, I love what we got at Danny. And I think his general instincts, tribal to tribal, are in the right spot for what he has to, what's good for his game. But like you said, he just does it so pedal to the metal. I think everyone else who's semi-aligned with him are let's just let Danny do his thing for a few episodes. He could steer all the votes as long as they're not towards us. And then, final 7 or final 6, we'll just cut him. And it's probably going to be pretty. I think there's going to be a time when everyone's we need to get Danny. And we're just going to see. And he's going to figure it out that everyone's against him. He's just going to go full
he'll never
go off the rails and just it's going to be hard. Yeah. I also. Of course, if there's anything else to add to that, feel free. I do want to talk about Franny's game a little bit because I'm personally very split on it, and I want to give her flowers because she did really emerge as a real force in the game.
Is.
Yeah, but I'm also I don't.
Okay, here we go. Hold on, wait.
This is my. I'm so split because.
I'm a part of the Franny Standies, Jack. So listen,
I hate to do it. I just I have to spice it up a little bit, and it's like I thought Franny was great. I would love to see her like on another season. I think she was a really solid player. But I think it's one of those cases where like she had all the tools of a solid player. Like she's smart, she's social, she's a beast in the competitions. But like when you actually look at her game, I am like, there's a lot to be desired, if that makes sense.
Jackery.
I know this is probably a controversial take, but it's like even just the fact of like she kind of dug her own grave winning all of these challenges.
Okay, so
and I'm like, you know, it is epic to win the challenges, but it's such an easy thing to do to just not win them. Like, and it's easier to say from watching at home.
Yes, it is.
She could have seen this coming. Like,
Jackery.
You want to win.
But first of all, point to me a move that Franny made that was actually really good move. Like, you know, she navigated.
Right. I got you, Jack. I got you, Jack. I got you. You
hit me with
the move that Franny made was because I want to repeat the question. Point you into the move that Franny made that was a game changer. What's the question?
I think she was a very well-rounded player.
What's
right?
the question?
My question is, what is a moment or a
that's
or whatever
the
where
moment
you like a real player like she like
the moment that Franny gave to the people that she was a real player is when she stepped her behind on that sand day one. I think what you are missing about Franny, so I think you are a very on paper statistics numbers type of guy, right? I think for me, the amazingness of a Franny is that from watching the show and listening to her, seeing her connection with Matt, is that there was clearly a point where she was unsure of herself. Even though she's on Survivor, she was unsure of like, do I have what it takes? Am I this person? And she got this connection in with Maddie, and like they were, you know, yin and yang. Maddie got cut, and she was left to kind of defend for herself. And when push came to shove, she started winning immunity challenges. And it's like we as viewers got to see her realize her own effing strength. And sometimes it's not winning immunity challenge. It's not making this move. Sometimes it's realizing who you are that makes you an amazing Survivor player. Like when you come to that conclusion, and I think I speak for the Franny Standies, it's like she is that player, and she won, and she aligned herself with the right people, and she was doing the best that she could. And sometimes that's all it takes, Jet.
No, I thought her like story and watching her rise from like kind of timid to like dominating the challenges, I thought that was all great, and that's why like I didn't even necessarily want to dive into this because she was a star.
We in the ocean now.
Well, yeah. So
but we're getting rid of the ocean.
I mean,
like she had a really solid social game, but I like, and maybe that's why I'm like struggling to deliberate because like she had a solid social game. Like watching her story was great and it was super impressive. It reminded me a lot of like an Aubrey Bracco type of story where she comes out, she's nervous, and then she comes into her own and is like crushing the challenges. But I'm just like, as far as like actual strategy goes, and maybe that's not the most important thing, but I'm like, even if she like take it back to when Matt went home, when she had already locked up individual immunity for herself, if she had just thrown the challenge, like that was just a simple decision. And it's like she didn't make that decision because she was too focused on like winning and just her story. Like as impressive as it was to watch her come out and kick ass in these challenges, I think if she had like thrown two of them, she could win the season. But it's
when
like
was the last time you've seen someone throw a challenge, let alone two?
Well, it's not like it's easy. Of course, once you're in the moment, it's harder to do. But I don't think it's that difficult to be like, okay, I already won one post-merge immunity challenge. Like, if I win another, it's going to put a target on my back. Like, I'm just not going to try to win.
When
like,
was the last time you've heard someone have that thought process on the show?
Well, they probably don't show it a lot because if I'm there and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to try to win challenges, like, that's not necessarily the most interesting storyline.
And it's extraordinarily frowned upon for you to sandbag challenges in Survivor.
Well, I think some would say, but I would say, like, think about like, I mean, this is a Big Brother reference, but think about like a Dan Giesling who through every challenge kept his threat level low, ended up winning his season.
What season was that?
Season 10. Like, I think obviously Big Brother, it's a little easier to do that but I think the same principle applies where Franny knew she was coming into her own and becoming a threat. And rather than like making efforts to mitigate that and position herself in a great middle spot and ride the wave, she embraced it, which I respect. But at the same time, it's like, well, now you're the biggest threat and you're not going to last very long. And it's like, I just think there's a few small decision-making things that she could have done. Again, easier to say from watching, but that's why I'm like, there wasn't really, and like she said, also this episode, this is sort of the first time she was actually vulnerable and she goes home. Like, it's not like we saw her do a lot of great strategic navigating, you know?
The only thing I'll say, Jack, is it is very hard to have any desire to sandbag a challenge in Survivor and almost disincentive. Like, yeah, if you have the ability to win a challenge in Survivor, it's very hard for someone to not do that, especially in the last, decade?
Easier. It's obviously easier said than done. But I just think back to like when Matt went home, she already secured herself individual immunity, but she wanted to go above and beyond and win it for her group for like a reward. When looking at the numbers of the other group, it was very obvious that Matt would be a target. And she could have easily fallen off the beam, had been safe herself and also saved her number one ally. But instead, she wanted to like prove that she could beat everybody, and that hurt her game a lot. Like,
I think there's a lot of logic there. I think you're right.
This is what I would say. Every winner isn't always the winner. I'm just saying that, like, I get what you're saying, and I'm not trying to like minimize the strategy and stuff, but like, for me, as somebody going out into Survivor, and I was a well-versed Survivor player myself, viewer. There is just something to be said that, like, sometimes when you've never been put in these positions, and now it's like, at the most extreme, you don't always make the most logical. And so I just say every winner isn't always the winner. And you learn as you grow. And of course, hindsight is 20/20, but
of course. Yeah, I can't
she had two ingredients and she made a Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah. No, it's very hard. Like, I can't at all sit here and not, because she really rose to the occasion and kicked ass for several weeks. Like, I can't be like, oh, that's like not good. You know what I mean? Like, it's great. She had all the tools, in my opinion. And that's just why I was like, it shook out in a way that I felt like we kind of saw this coming. And that's just sort of why I wanted to be like, well, I wish she had tweaked a couple things, because then I really think she could have won the whole thing. But the actual performance that she did put on was also extremely impressive. And so I do want to applaud her for that.
What you've seen season 28, Jack, right?
Of course, my favorite season. Have you seen that?
When Sarah Lucina came back the second time she played, what place did she get?
She won.
Okay.
But that you could.
I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Sometimes people go out a little early. And next time they come back, it's a bop, bop, bop.
Yeah, but I think that's
sometimes people hit the bop, and then the next time they come back, it's a flop. But that's
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think Franny's a good player, and if she came back,
there's tremendous upside.
I think she would probably, without me saying, she probably knows like these things that we're talking about, that she could implement them into her game. And I think if she came back, she would. And then that could be a Sarah Lucina type of story where she would. I think Franny probably recognized, like, and I don't want to be the one to be like, this isn't a message to her. Like, I'm sure she knows her game better than anyone. But if I had to guess, I'm sure if we talked to her, she'd probably say like, I could have done this differently, And
it just comes off a little backhanded, complimentary-esque.
Well, yeah, no, I can accept that it's being critical, and that's not how I want it to be. But I understand that's how it looks, so I don't want to like harp on it anymore.
But I do.
She was a standout, and she deserves her flowers. So I don't want to be the one to like you know, like you said, I don't want to like give them to her with the caveat. And
You gonna see her in these streets, Zach.
Okay, listen, Jack.
Jack.
You ain't no. This ain't.
But that's
what's the word?
I'll be critical. Like, I'll be critical of people's. And I've had run-ins before with people.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This ain't your first rodeo, Jack. Okay, Shan pulled up on you.
Shan pulled up. Fran gonna pull up.
Franny gonna pull up and say, "What's up?"
Shan pulled up, and Fran gonna pull up.
Well, the Shan thing was a whole different world. You know? It wasn't criticism of the game that we argued about, but I've had other people where, you know, I've criticized their game, and I can accept when I meet people that are like, "Oh, you said this." I'm all ears, you know, and it's all from a personal standpoint. It's always all love. So
you were,
but again, now I feel like I'm being overly critical of her when the takeaway I wanted to give is the same one that you guys gave, where she really crushed it. And it was more so of a fact of like she was crushing so hard that I wish those little things had been different because she would be continuing to crush it.
Okay.
Oh, that's a new way to spin it.
Yeah.
I mean, listen. You were extremely critical for Wendell on Winners at War, and you know y'all were able to patch things up. So listen,
I don't even think that's true.
Was he?
Yes.
No,
was I on the pod back then or no?
No, well, we were potting about it, and you know, Jack was trashing you.
You're making things up right now.
That's messed up.
No, Jack, we know it's all love. And the posse knows that. But listen, we love the fact that you're always able to share your opinion and your thoughts. So that's the point of, you know, Survivor News. But we were sad to see the queen that is Franny go. But listen. She had on Carolyn's belt, returned it. And yeah, I mean, the season is shaping up. It's only about to get good. It's only up from here. There's been a lot of, you know, I heard people like, oh, a couple of episodes a little dry. It ain't last 3 episodes ain't been dry.
Yeah.
It's time to eat.
I wish we had what do we used to say, Brice? Like the oven's on.
That's what I'm saying. It's time to eat. Yeah. The oven is on. The water is boiling. The grease is popping.
I wish we had I really wish we had Ponderosa to see Franny and Matt reunite.
I thought about that. Ooh.
We don't need to see that. We don't need to see that.
The neighbors know my name. Jack, do you have a presentation for us?
Oh, I guess I do, yeah. Hold on.
Listen, we are men of our word. Y'all know y'all be in the comments coming for some of y'all just enjoy the Jack. Some of y'all be like, y'all need to give Jack a playlist. When DZ and I have came up with something for next season though, Jack.
Really?
After the season ends, we're going to send you a playlist that has over 200 songs on it.
Let's go. I can't wait.
Okay.
I got tunes for you guys though.
Okay. And mind you, so are
these playing songs, it or singing it?
I don't want you rapping.
Oh, you don't?
But go ahead, Jack. We'll find.
How do you want me to do it?
It's a rap song? I already know who it is.
It's Jack Harlow.
No, I switched it up because I knew you thought because I wanted to do something that you guys could actually like know, because you're not gonna know like niche Jack Harlow songs.
I know Jack Harlow. Jack, I be sending you Jack Harlow songs.
Yeah, but like popular, like ones.
Listen,
I pulled up a popular song from like 10 years ago.
Oh!
That you guys know.
Why have you been scrolling for the last 5 minutes, Jack? You should just know.
I was gonna put the instrumental on.
You can't
don't put the instrumental on.
You have to just sing it, bro.
You know the rules. I want to hear your jazz spin.
You want the jazz spin of a rap?
No, Jack. You know what?
Spit them bars, Jack.
I'm about to bring the ocean back, Jack.
What?
You need to let us know how we let you know.
Come on, Jack.
Now I'm nervous.
Drop them bars, Jackery.
I'm gonna bleep out the curse words.
Just close your eyes when you sing it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna take it from the top.
Okay, go ahead.
Man, y'all don't get it, do ya? Type of money, everybody acting like they knew ya. Go uptown, New York City, bitch. Them Spanish girls love me like I'm on Twitter. Tell Uncle Lou I'm out of
I'm
my
in Miami too.
a little bit hard.
Let's do. This thing got a Colorado Wild Biscayne. Hey, shit, hey.
How you feel?
How you feel? 25 sitting on 25 mil.
I'm in the building and I'm feeling myself.
As a piece back, Dre. I'm gonna do it for the day.
Follow whatever that stop my team good. We don't really need a mask up.
CA. Why is it niggas my YMCA?
Be Franny friend in the
Jackery.
No. You already know that.
No.
Only live once. That's the motto.
How you gonna do a Drake? That's even worse than doing a Jack Harlow.
We really play every day. What anybody say can't see it because the money in the way. What's up? One time.
I'm calling out like
the 7
Rams almost in the blunt.
Almost down in the. So I swam to it, but
okay.
We in this.
Gentlemen.
That's an M.O. out of either this.
Jack, you are now
tore down
1,000 to 1, and we are 1 up. Okay.
That's the thing. I gave you a throw, but something you guys.
Jack, and we've only given you bangers.
Yeah, from like 1945.
That's a lie. Okay, well, listen.
I didn't want to come on here and sing a song you guys wouldn't know. That's just not fun.
Well, I think the people.
All right, look, I'll give you a Jack Harlow song that you may or may not know.
Well, Jack.
Well, you're gonna know it's Jack. Like,
you got next week, Jack. You got homework to do, Jack.
I'm hot now, though. Don't stop me while I'm hot.
You're hot now. The oven is on. Wendeezy.
You make me wanna leave the one I'm with. Start a new relationship with you. This is what you do. Think about it and all the things come around with. You make me wanna leave the one I'm with. Start a new relationship with you. This is what you do. Think about it and all the things come along with. You make me. Now what's bad is you're the one that hooked us up.
Knowing it should be you.
What's sad is that I love her, but I'm falling for you. What should I do? Should I tell my baby bye-bye? Should I do exactly what I feel inside? Cause I don't want to go, don't need to stay, but I really need to get it together. You make me want to leave the one.
Okay, okay, Jack.
Brice didn't know half those words.
Oh, Jack, don't even, Jack.
If I was pulling, I could just pull a Brice and just act like I know the song and just be like,
I was literally singing lyrics.
God.
Oh,
I don't know that. I have a guess on the artist, but it's definitely wrong. But
who's the artist?
I know I'm gonna say something. I know it's wrong, but I got the vibe. But I know I'm gonna say you're gonna be like, ah. I'm gonna say Juicy J.
From 3 6 Mafia?
I don't know. You guys just set me up. Like, you sing songs that I've never heard before, and then when I guess wrong, because I've never heard the song, it's all like...
But Wendell really laughed. Listen. Okay.
Look, maybe I'm gas much. I think it's a little more fun when we're hitting the rap songs, and we all know them. It's a sing-along.
Survivor News. 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 Survivor News.